A very good evening to everyone. Uh, Thank you, Korsab, for having given me this opportunity to share my little thoughts on a subject which is very dear to everyone. I beg to pardon myself because on this show there are lot many diggages who are sitting here who are far more informed than what I am. But this is what my little research into understanding the science behind the breath is. So I thought I must share this because this is something which is very essential, because I always find that the knowledge gained here must be logically understood. And to understand logically, it has to be scientifically proven. Until the time it is not scientifically proven, it remains in realm of metaphysics. And the aim is to draw from metaphysics into actual science, and that is what I understand spirituality as. With that as a little background, today we'll start with the topic, the science behind the breath. But before we start, I'll request that if we have oximeter, everyone had the oximeters, I requested them to get along. And apart from oximeter, also I'll request, in case if you have a pen and paper, and I'm sure oximeter also has got a pulse meter, so you can also record your pulses. So before we start per se, I'll request everyone to measure their oxygen level as well as pulse level right now, and record it on a piece of paper and say, this is what was my pulse and my oxygen level at the start of the session. So I'll request everyone to please do that particular thing. Yeah, if everyone has recorded the breath as well as, the oxygen level as well as the pulse, I'll also request that please check the flow of the oxygen in both air in both the nodes. That to check that is, bring your finger below it and gradually see which is the nose which is predominant. There could be right one more predominant or the left one predominant or balance or whatever it is. Just note that down and record it on the piece of paper. At the start of the session, your breath, which nostril was predominant. Like in my case, I'm getting my right nostril more predominant. Okay. If you have done all this and recorded the thing, let's get back to spirituality, like I said. Spirituality is a science. And this science which is there, we need to understand the mechanics behind what we all learn and do. Let's take an example of an island which is there and which composes of people of different nature. They're all staying there. And there is love, pleasure, pain, everything is all inclusive in that particular thing on that island which is there. In near vicinity of that island, there's a mainland where there is ecstasy, pure love, there is absolute perception beyond understanding. And the people who are living on this island are always craving to go on that main island. That is the main aim of all the people on this island, to go to that main island, because that main island is the place where all pleasures, ecstasy, love, everything is there. Blissfulness, everyone lives there, has got particular things. So everyone desires to get across to that particular mainland. Now, there are two categories of people on this particular island. The first category is the one who prays and says, God, please take me along. I want to go there. People like them wait for the boat to arrive, for them to be taken to that particular site. There are other set of people who says, I don't have to wait for the boat. I do not know when the boat will arrive. Let me make one boat out of it. And they get down to finding wood, the right amount of wood, what is the buoyancy of that particular boat, what will be the shape it will come, what is the thrust which is required, how many people can get in, how do I get that engine into this particular boat fitted. And they make this particular boat and get on this boat and get across. So we have to decide where we are. Have you to be the person to sit with hands folded and say, send me a boat, I want to get across, or we want to make a boat. Your body is nothing, but it's a boat. You have to prepare this as part of the boat. You have to learn the science behind all what is being taught to take us to salvation, to take us to connect with the supreme power. And to supreme power, the supreme energy which is there, to connect with that particular energy, you have to understand the nitty-gritties and the mechanics in logical terms. And this logical term has to be understood in way of science. Once you understand the way of science, once you understand what type of wood is there, what is the buoyancy, what will be the, how much it will float, what will be the load it will take, that is what will take you. And when it takes you, the energy within you is what will become the engine and take you across and make you reach the final destination. So today we are going to be discussing this energy of making a boat, or rather our boat is there. We will discuss this energy which will drive this boat or has a potential of driving this boat towards the mainland, which is our aim of reaching up there. So before I start per se thing, I would like everyone to just meditate for 2 odd minutes, and we'll try and balance our mind. The right and the left hemisphere, we're going to balance that particular thing. And to do that, what we do is we close our eyes and concentrate at the Ajna Chakra, right at the center here. And as we concentrate at the Ajna Chakra, take few long breaths and leave them out, like I'll show you. With 2 exhalations, making sound, leave them out. We can start that. As we concentrate at the Ajna Chakra, gradually chant the mantra Om in your mind. Gradually and very slowly, move your attention along the periphery of the brain, starting from the left side. Move your awareness from Ajna Chakra towards the left, along the periphery of the mind or the brain. Very slowly, as you move, you will feel certain sensation going along. Make sure that you move along with the sensation. As you reach behind your head, right above medulla oblongata, hold for a while there and chant the mantra Om. Proceed further very slowly. Return to the Ajna Chakra. Concentrate there and chant the mantra Om. You will feel the sensation in your head. Rub your hands, close your eyes. Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the concept of technique behind or technology behind breathing. Before we go there, while I was doing my research, I came across a very good quote. And this is from Chinese Zhou dynasty, which was written on 500 BC and is inscripted on rock face, which is there. It exists till today. And not that it was a knowledge from there. Our scriptures talk way beyond it. But the way it has been written, I found it was very beautifully described. And that is what I like to flash before you to read this. It says, in transporting breath, the inhalation must be full. When it is full, it has big capacity. When it has big capacity, it can be extended. When it can be extended, it can penetrate downwards. It will become calmly settled. When it is calmly settled, it will be strong and firm. When it is strong and firm, it will germinate. When it germinates, it will grow. When it grows, it will retreat upwards. When it retreats upwards, it will reach the top of the head. The secret power of Providence must move above. The secret power of the earth moves below. He who follows this will live. He who acts against this will die. Zhou dynasty stone inscription. This is so beautifully summed up the entire understanding of what we are looking in spirituality. Let's understand this in a little more detail. In transporting the breath, the inhalation must be full. What it implies? It says when your breathing pattern, when it becomes full, full means when you have the correct breathing pattern, the correct inhalation pattern. When it is fully correct, it creates big capacity within your body. And what are these big capacities? The big capacity is that it is able to produce more energy to run down into entire body. And when this capacity is produced, it can be extended. When this is all through the body, it is produced, it is extended. Where can it be extended? It is extended to the pranic body, or what we call as astral body. Because when your cells are all working right, everything is working right, this energy is extended to the pranic cell or the astral body. And when it says it penetrates down from the astral body, when all the chakras get right, when your breathing is right, all the chakras get right, the pranas get settled down. And as they settle down, they germinate the power or energy, the kundalini energy, what we call in the lower chakras, and that is what germinates. And when that germinates, it rises up and rises up to the top. And when this energy comes right on the top, that is the time you actually connect with the supreme power. So if you see, in few lines, he has explained what really breath is all about. Everything starts from the breath. If you learn the art of breathing right, you will create fullness within you. And when fullness is there within you, you will create capacity. And when this capacity is built, you will extend this to the astral body. And when it is extended to the astral body, it also goes to the causal body. And when it reaches the causal body, the pranas which is there, they actually germinates the kundalini shakti which is within you. And the kundalini rises up. And when it rises up to the head, right on the top, that is exactly what we're looking at, particular thing. So beautifully, I think is summed up. And this is exactly what we're talking. Now we'll be talking every step, everything by step. First, we'll talk about what is full inhalation. Now, before I go, I would like to show that the science which is of the breath under falling heads as we go along. But to understand, before I come down to the science per se, the breath actually, if you see, it's a connect between the body and mind and the universe. So between life and death, if you see, what is the connect? That is the breath. So if the breath rhythm is right, the connect is there. If the breath rhythm is like, if it is broken, it actually vitiates a thing. So in next about an hour or so, we should be covering the falling under falling heads. So I'll not call as in first 10 hours or 15 minutes or so we'll be doing. We'll talk in the breath. So in first 100 breaths, we will understand how the modern humans are only species with chronically crooked teeth. And that is why the breathing is disturbed. We will understand that evolution process. In next 200 breaths, we will analyze. In the next 200 breaths, we will analyze the basis of restorative breathing, which results in reduced blood pressure, boosts the athletic performance and the nervous system. And in next 200 breaths, or rather 300 breaths, we will go down to land of serious consciousness. And in next 300 or 200 breaths, we will push deeper into the body to tap the nervous system. And in last 200 breaths, we would understand how air entering your lungs affect every moment of your life and how to harness it to its full potential until your final breath. You know, by law of average, you have around 670 million breaths in your tank. So which breath are we at? We really wouldn't know. So this is the time to understand it so that we make best use of the particular thing. So first let's understand the evolution. Everyone is talking of the breath. How is this breath, which was a natural process when we've grown, we're born and grown up, why and how did this all go wrong? When I say wrong, it's not that completely wrong, but definitely it is not the right pattern which is going wrong. You know, our capacity to breath has changed through a long process of human evolution. And that the way we breathe have got markedly worse since the dawn of the industrial age. Breathing incorrectly is causing or aggravating a laundry list of diseases which are coming down. Breath, we can say, is like a pillar in health. You know, this is where everything starts. The evolution process, the scientific evidence have proven and making us understand that the mouth is getting smaller. Why this mouth is getting smaller? Because our food habits are changing. The food has become softer, and because of the chewing purposes, what has happened? The mouth is getting smaller and getting elongated. The palate is going up and making arch form. And that's the reason, if you've seen, nowadays people have a lot of tooth problems. They have crooked teeth coming in. Reason is what? It's because of that eating habit which has gone in. People who survive on fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, fresh meat, fresh dairy products, they will generally not have crooked teeth or something. The people who actually go on pasteurized things and what we have today, they are all having these problems. And because of this change in pattern, if you now analyze the science, have already analyzed this particular pattern, the people around 100, 200 or 300 years back had a little broader jawline. Now it is becoming narrower and taller. And because of that narrowing of this particular platelet which is there, it's pushing the nasal cavity up. And because of the nasal cavity going up, it is narrowed down. And that is what actually has caused breathing problems. Because narrowing of the nasal cavity has caused certain amount of congestion to come in. And because of bacteria and all deposits happening there, congestion begets congestion. And people start breathing from their mouth. Because it doesn't happen, so because the nasal cavity has become small, so they start breathing through the noise. And that's the reason the problems are happening. So if you see, the evolution process has happened. Though all evolutions are not wrong. Evolution is just a change. There are good evolutions also. But this is the evolution which has happened, which is actually not very right. And we need to correct this particular process. And that's the reason I thought I must bring this particular evolution to understand how things have gone wrong. So eating habit is one of the reasons of why the whole process is undergone a change. Apart from that, what we call is industrial food, like white flour, white rice, jams, sweetened juices, canned vegetables, processed meat, these are all which are causing today's problem which are there. The children who are fed or given or who are breastfed for long duration will generally not have crooked teeth, and they will have the nasal cavity which is big. The children who are not being breastfed for a long time, they will have a long elongated platelet face, as well as their nasal cavity is going to be small. And these are the children who actually will have crooked teeth and have nasal problems. Today, the science have carried out analysis that younger children who are growing up, particularly in the Western world, have a lot of snoring at very young age, as well as sleep apnea becoming a problem there. And the reason behind this is narrowing down of the nasal cavity, which is there, which is also known as nasal collapse. If we see the right pattern of breathing, let's observe, or anytime if you have to see, observe a child. Child, when I say newly born child, when is sleeping, just observe the child. You will find his breathing pattern in the stomach goes up and down. That's the right way of breathing. Because there's a rib cage here. The rib cage is meant for the protection of the lungs. You can't be breathing like this. This can't be the natural process. The natural process is like this. And when this is your natural process, you should be breathing there. If you analyze your breathing pattern, today it has been analyzed by the science, and they carried out all the people who come down have medical problems. Their all breathing patterns are like this. They're breathing like this and not like this. So we have to correct a breathing pattern and bring it down. And the change which has happened, the breathing pattern which has got disturbed, is because of the evolution which I have told you about, how we have got evolved and bring it. And this is disturbing in every family, every house. It's not that it's one or two, every house which is there. So the moment we become conscious of this particular fact and we say, okay, I'm going to mend my breathing, you will see the changes happening in your life coming through. There are two types of breathing which happens. One is aerobic and anaerobic. So this is something which is known, so I'll not deliberate much. Aerobic is obviously with oxygen, and anaerobic is the one which actually energy is generated by breaking down of sugar in the body. It is kind of backup system. It's a turbo system which has been provided to the body when it's required. So when you are actually start up without warming up your body, do exercise, what happens? It's the aerobic respiration system that gets kicked in. And that's the reason you feel breathless very soon. And after a little while, that breath settles down. It's because the aerobic systems get into place. Breathing through mouth or nose. Now, this is a very important aspect. Like I told you, evolution is brought in because of the nasal cavity getting through. People start breathing through the mouth. So let's understand what is the reason or why it is said that breathe through the nose and not through the mouth. If we analyze the nose, which is there, the nose has got turbinates. Turbinates are nothing but those hair which are there on your nose. These turbinates are like, if you see a wheat or rice field, and when the air blows, it sways like this. Similarly, the turbinates in the nose actually sways like this. So when air travels, it sways and it actually purifies the air which goes in. It takes out all dirt which is there, or all impurities which are there, it takes it out. And below this turbinates is a mucus line inside the nose which is there. That collects all the muck which is coming out of that, and like a conveyor belt system throws it into the digestive system, which gets into the thing. That's how this air is purified. And not only the air is purified, actually the air is warmed up also, and warmed up sufficiently to the temperature, as well as given certain amount of pressure, so that the maximum amount of oxygen is absorbed by the body. So nose makes all these functions in just a matter of few seconds. As you pull the air in, all these functions happen there. And if you breathe through your mouth, the same functions do not happen. All the oxygen just goes into the heart. And that's a precise reason that when you breathe through the nose, you actually absorb 16 times more oxygen than when you breathe through your mouth. So that's a precise reason that it is told that shut your mouth, breathe through your nose. Not only this, that you breathe through your nose, that the purification, the warming up of the air, and the right pressure is created. There is also a certain amount of nitrogen oxide which is released. This nitrogen oxide is released when there is a humming sound in your nose which happens. Like, for example, when we make this humming sound, there is nitrogen oxide which is released through the sinus. And this nitrogen oxide actually goes inside the body and it expands the capillaries. And when it expands the capillaries, more amount of oxygen, more amount of blood flows in, and more amount of oxygen interchanges. The oxygen and carbon dioxide changes. That actually makes you healthier. And if you breathe through your nose, it also helps to gain the brain cells which are there. If you breathe through your mouth, it actually does not encourage development of the brain cell. This on the bylines, I just thought I'll bring this to you. Not only this, the Japanese carried out an assessment and they carried out a scientific analysis of it. And they realized that breathing through the nose, the oxygen disturbs the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is what we call as the Ajna Chakra. It disturbs the prefrontal cortex because this is the place where all your thinking takes place. So this gets disturbed. So when you breathe through your mouth, even your understanding, your rightful decision making, all gets disturbed. So this is what actually the Japanese research has found it out scientifically, which has been proven. Apart from this, the nose has also got some erectile tissues. These tissues are the same which are found on the sexual parts of the human body. These erectile tissues are the ones which actually get erectile and they reduce or control the flow of air in your nose. And that's the reason you must have seen sometimes your left nose is blocked, sometimes the right nose is blocked. It is because of these erectile tissues which are functioning. And these erectile tissues actually alternate the breathing pattern, sometimes from the left, sometimes from the right. There's a natural process which happens, and this happens from the brain which actually terminates. So if your brain is agitated, angry, pain, anger, this will affect the flow of the breath in your nose. And how it will get affected? Because the brain will tell the erectile tissues and the erectile tissues will go in. It is because of the erectile tissues, the nostril breathing or the circuit of the nostril breathing happens. And this circuit of the nostril breathing has got a very far-reaching effect on the human body. We'll understand that particular thing, how this nostril breathing has this part. Apart from this, nostril breathing also controls temperature, blood pressure, feeding of blood to the brain, and certain chemicals or the mood emotions also controlled by this particular breathing. So, like I already told you, nitrogen oxide is there. So let's do this little exercise and analyze and understand how it happens. So what we'll do is we will all do this humming sound which goes, like I'll do this first, thereafter follow it up. Can you do that? Now do the Om mantra. What we do is think Yeah. Now, after having done these two little humming exercises, what you've done, now I'm sure you would have felt certain amount of sensation in your nose. And from nose, the sensation would be not traveling like this towards the brain. Have you felt that? It is because when you're doing this humming sound, there is nitrogen oxide, which is nitric oxide, which is produced. And that when travels, it creates a thing. Now we understand when in our Vedic science, the chanting of Om mantra is given down. Apart from this, there are so many other aspects to the Om mantra, but one of the aspects of Om mantra is this, the nitric oxide level of the body is increased because of it. Now, both the nostrils are there, and breathing through both nostrils have got different connotations altogether. Now, what are these connotations? Let's understand. The right nostril, which is there, is called as the gas pedal. Gas pedal implies it's something like getting into the car. The moment you put your foot on the race, it takes speed and rushes off. Same is the case when you breathe through the right nostril. It's something like the gas pedal. You inhale through this channel, the blood circulation speeds up, your body gets hotter, the cortisol level, blood pressure and heart rate all increases. So this is what happens if you breathe through the right nose. Now this level of how much it gets thing, it depends on how much you're breathing from the right nose. Because when you're breathing, there's a certain amount of thing going from the left nose also, there's a certain amount which is going. But if you've seen during panic stage or during when there's a fight or something, you will find that time if you realize you will be breathing primarily from the right nose and very little from the left nose. Why? Because at that time the blood circulation goes up, your cortisol level goes up, the heart rate increases, everything because of this right nostril breathing which happens. The right side activates the sympathetic nervous system. Like I told you, if you're having a fight or something happens, it ignites the sympathetic nervous system. Now, sympathetic nervous system is nothing but a fight or flight system. That it draws energy from all across, like from the stomach, your bladder and all, and gives it all to the brain. Because now this is the time which you have to just decide what I have to do. I have to run or fight or whatever is there. So sympathetic nervous system get activated. The fight and flight mechanism put the body in more elevated state of alertness and readiness. Breathing through right feeds more blood to the opposite hemisphere of the brain. When you're breathing to the right, it feeds more blood to the right hemisphere, especially in the prefrontal cortex, out here, which is associated with logical, decision, language, and computing. Now, all these things are depending on what level of it. If you are closer to the center, you will have these lesser. If you are away from it, it will be more pronounced in things. So if you're breathing to right, all these things will happen. Now, I know you all are aware of this particular thing, and you've also done the nadis, the Pingla and the Ida nadi. It's nothing. Pingla and Ida are exactly the same characteristics. What has been told are what I'm trying to tell you as a right and left nostril. So if you see, the science is connecting from here to the astral body. What we're talking about in Pingla and Ida nadi are connected to this right and left nostril. So right nostril is something like Pingla nadi. So all the characteristics here are something what is there in the Pingla nadi also. So let's get to the left nostril. Left nostril is nothing like a brake system. This is connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system is when you want to cool down, your nervous system cools down, you're calm, understanding of the things. You are rest and relaxed side. It lowers the blood pressure, it cools down the body and reduces anxiety. It feeds more blood to the opposite hemisphere, the prefrontal cortex out here, which influences creativity, thoughts, and plays a role in formation of mental abstraction also, and production of negative emotions. So both are there. So if you see, breathing through your nose is not just about, okay, you breathe through the nose. Breathing through the nose, which side you're breathing, has different connotation onto you. And these different connotations actually dictates the way you're going to be operating. Your whole body will be operating. If you're breathing from the right, it will be something like a gas pedal. If you're breathing from the left, it will be like a brake system. So what's the best way of breathing? The best way of breathing is we must get to the balance of both the sides. If we can get the balance between the right and the left nostril, that is the ideal thing. Always the balance will never be there, but there will be a certain amount of time when you get into a balance. At that particular balance, the Sushumna Nadi is what is actually activated, which again is connected to the astral body, which comes in. So this again proves, the science proves that the physical body has a close interaction with astral body, what we talk of. What is balanced breathing? Balanced breathing is pivoting between the action and relaxation, dreaming and reason thoughts. This is influenced by the nasal cycle, which I told you. Yoga practices dictate the manipulation of this body function by forced breathing, what we call as, Nadi Shodhan and Surya Behide Pranayam, which are there. Then nothing actually is there. So if you go, if you do this deep study, which Dr. Nirmal has done it and he's done it in his session, you must attend to those. And in that he brings out that which nostril, what type of work you want to do, you should ensure that particular nostril is more predominant. Like if you're going for a particular work, you're going for an interview call, or you're going something which is there, you must be sure that your right side nostril is more predominant than the left side, right? If you are sitting in lectures like these and others, it is better that your left side nostril is more predominant because you understand it better. If you have the right side nostril more predominant, you will absorb 30% less knowledge what actually if it was on the left side more. So all the left side and the right side are not about just heck of it. They have a way back scientific reason. There's something known as super brain yoga. You'll be surprised. The West understands it, and this is what the beauty about the West is, that when they understand a particular thing, they scientifically prove it. And once they scientifically prove it, they absorb it. So yoga, all what we're talking of, they understood that there's a lot of sense into it, and they carried out research on it. And they took a whole lot of this, worked around, I think, 5,000 or 6,000 people, and they collected and they carried out analysis of it, and that they realized that the breathing pattern has correct connection to the brain. And they have initiated something known as super brain yoga. And they put it down to every school and other activity places where they encourage people to come and do this. And what is super brain yoga? You'll be surprised. जब हम बच्चे होते थे, तो हमको जब टीचर पनिशमेंट देती थी, वो बोलते कान पकड़ के उठक बैठक लगाओ. That is what super brain yoga is. All you have to do is, you must have the right hand over the left hand, hold your ear and do sit-up, uthak bathak. And when you do this uthak bathak, you will realize that both your nostril will balance out. So when you get up in the morning, do this particular exercise. You will find invariably your one nostril will be blocked and you will have a little bit of congestion. At that particular point, when you get up, right over left, remember this, hold your ears and do it. Do it around 14 to 15 times. And after that, just hold for a minute or so, not even a minute, just hold for a few seconds and you will see that your nose opening up gradually. Why it happens? Because when you do this, there is a figure of 8 made between the nose and goes like this and thing. Because the left influences the right hemisphere and the right influences the left hemisphere. So when you're doing this super brain yoga, that's uthak bathak, this gets activated. And when this gets activated, your both nostrils start into balance form. And this is exactly what we pranayama and others we do. It's nothing, it's balancing of both the hemisphere. Both the hemispheres are balanced. Your breathing pattern becomes balanced in that thing. Let's understand this. Now we have understood the nose. We have seen what all function the nose does. So we shouldn't be breathing from the mouth. That's actually has been now looked into. Now let's go further in how this breath goes in and what does it do. So we have, as you see on the picture, the child is breathing. When it breathes through the nose, what happens? Clarification of the air takes place, number one. Warming of the air takes place. Certain amount of pressure which is created so that maximum amount of oxygen is absorbed. Nitric oxide is released for veins to get expanded, which is there. The right and left nostril has its own connotation depending on what the type of functioning of the body is happening. That influences the functioning of the body. Now, when this air enters from the nose, after all these particular processes which I told you, it comes down the throat and goes into the lungs. And in the lungs, it goes to the bronchi, and from bronchi to bronchioles. And from bronchioles, it comes down to the sacs at the further end of the bronchioles, which are known as alveoli. Now, these are nothing but sacs. This is the place where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. Now, what is the thing which happens at this particular point? Something very interesting is which comes out here. The oxygen which comes in, we always feel that oxygen which has gone in is very important and carbon dioxide is not required by the body, it must go out. The oxygen which goes in doesn't get absorbed. It is the carbon dioxide which displaces oxygen. If there is no carbon dioxide in your body, oxygen will go there and come back. It cannot get on to your bloodstream. So which proves that carbon dioxide is very essential for your body. If you have lower level of carbon dioxide, the oxygen is just about entering and going out. It is not reaching up to your cells. And that is the thing, as we go along, you'll understand more clearly that why this carbon dioxide is more important. But suffice to say that the oxygen which comes in only replaces the carbon dioxide molecule, if it is there. So every red blood cell which comes in has got 4 cavities, and each cavity has got one carbon dioxide cell sitting there. So this carbon dioxide cell pushes itself out and pushes the oxygen in. And when carbon dioxide moves out, oxygen comes and occupies it. And when it occupies, it moves up. So when the blood has got more of carbon dioxide, it is bluish red. And when it has got more of oxygen, when it moves ahead, it becomes quite red, which is there in color. And it moves up. So this oxygen which moves out from here and moves further, the level of carbon dioxide has to be balanced with the thing. The carbon dioxide which comes out has more weight than oxygen, O2 and CO2, which is there. So carbon dioxide is heavier. And that's the reason when you breathe out, you breathe weight out also, not only carbon dioxide, weight out also. So when you're breathing weight out, this is also a process where actually results into loss of weight which is there. So you must have seen people who go to gym and all do not lose that much of weight as the people who just do about breathing exercise. Because breath is also a process of reducing weight of your body. Because more carbon dioxide going out, more weight is moving out. So it has been analyzed that if 10 pounds, for every 10 pounds lost, 8.5 pounds are lost through the lungs. And the balance is only lost through sweating and urination. You must have seen there's certain bars which have come out, the oxygen bars which are there. These oxygen bars are actually, I'm using a little strong word of saying hoax, not hoax, but then they have served no good purpose to you. Reason again is what I just told you. When you go and sit in the oxygen bar, what you're doing is you are inhaling more oxygen, but you're doing no activity. Your metabolism rate is the same. So no carbon dioxide is produced extra. So whatever amount of oxygen you take in, it will not get absorbed. It will only come out. Only that much oxygen will go in, which the carbon dioxide is coming out. So frankly, going to these oxygen bars and other things, frankly, serve no purpose. So this actually proves further that the carbon dioxide is very, very essential for the body function which comes in. The carbon dioxide level also affects the kidney. How it affects kidney? It's overbreathing. When you are overbreathing, apart from having effect on the lungs, it also affects on the kidney. When we breathe too much, carbon dioxide is released, which results in blood pH level to become alkaline. When we breathe slower and hold more carbon dioxide, pH level in the body becomes more acidic. So we have to maintain a balance in the body of the pH level in the blood. And that balance is 7.4. So if you're breathing for more and faster and carbon dioxide is coming out, so pH level going alkaline, so what happens? The brain tells the body to take out this alkaline matter. And when this alkaline matter is taken out to the kidney, it also takes along certain amount of minerals with it, like potassium, magnesium, and other things. And this is what causes the kidney problem. And the people who are asthmatic, if you remember, the doctors give them more of magnesium. The reason given to them is primarily because there is more minerals required, because this all gets flushed out because of excessive breathing. So what really comes out is fast breathing or very slow breathing is not the correct thing. What is important is a medium breathing. And medium breathing is a gradual breathing. A breathing level of 3:2, what Tavareji says in the book which is there, is 3:2 systematic breathing pattern, which is there. And that is what is also proven scientifically that that's a right breathing pattern which has come about. Slow breathing, like I brought up. This is the best way of breathing. At normal rate of breathing, our lungs absorb only about a quarter of available thing. If you say that I got to breathe faster and I'll have more oxygen coming in, it's wrong. Because whatever amount of oxygen you breathe, only 1/3 of the oxygen or 1/4 of the oxygen is what is absorbed. The balance actually gets back. So when you're breathing slow, you are absorbing the same amount of oxygen, because ultimately the absorption is dependent on the carbon dioxide level which is there in your body. When you see yourself running faster every day, and yet your breath is normal and stable, that is the right fitness level. So if you have to check your fitness level, do this particular exercise. Do that running. First warm up, and after that do the running. And after running for a minute or two, if your breath level comes down and becomes normal pattern, that means you are physically fit. That is the correct way of feeling the word fitness, which is there. Slow breathing pattern also helps to increase the blood flow to the brain and the system in the body. It extends the state of coherence functioning of heart, circulation, and nervous system, which coordinates at the peak efficiency. So science have also found out that the correct pattern of breathing is 5.5 seconds of inhalation and 5.5 seconds of exhalation. Now, if you see this, which has been scientifically checked, correlates totally with what we are practicing in Kriyas, what we are told. I mean, in pranic healing, they tell you to breathe for 6 times, 6 seconds up, breathe out 6 seconds down. That is exactly what the same pattern is coming down to. Breath and meditation. In many ways, the resonant breathing gets you the same effect as meditation. Tavaria ji used to say this. This is what he has mentioned in the book, that forget about meditation. If you get your breathing right, it'll happen. And now I'll draw your attention to the first thing, what I showed you about the Zhao dynasty, that particular thing. If you have your breathing right, everything will happen. You really don't need to meditate. But if you meditate, this also enhances your capability beyond just about a breathing. So I don't say that don't meditate, but definitely breathing is as important as meditation, which comes in. This also offers a healing touch to the people who do not pray. You know, if your breath is right, if you're not even praying, it'll have a better effect on your understanding. Because what happens? If your breathing is right, your brain functions right. When your brain functions right, you think the right way. When you think the right way, you do the right things. So what we call as yama niyama automatically starts happening because your brain is working right. So even if the guy is not praying and his breathing patterns is right, he actually is more religious than anyone else. When you do prayers, you will realize that at the time of prayer, when you're doing this, your breathing automatically comes down to 5.5 breath cycle, which is there. This is a natural breathing pattern which is there. So when you sit in prayer and totally immersed in it, sit down and analyze sometimes to what is the level of breath at that particular time. And you realize that it comes to the same as when you're doing meditation pranayama. In breathing, after having seen that the absorption of the blood which happens, the next thing which comes is the diaphragm. Now, diaphragm plays a very important role in breathing. And it's been realized that majority of the people, the diaphragm is only utilized to 10% of its capacity. Now, why diaphragm comes into it? So, in the body, when you're breathing inside, there is a thoracic pump which is inside in the lungs. This thoracic pump actually creates a pressure. When it creates a negative pressure, the blood flows to the heart. And when it creates a positive pressure, the blood flows from the heart to the lungs and various parts of the thing. So it is this pump which is actually bringing the blood in and out in the body. Now, this thoracic pump is the one which is supported by the diaphragm. When this breathing pattern is going up, this diaphragm is supporting the thoracic pump. So right now, like people have 10% of the capacity. That means the majority of the work is being done by the thoracic pump and not by the diaphragm. And because of the thoracic pump working, your heart, your blood pressure, and all these problems happen. Your heart is overworking, the blood pressure goes up, hypertension things happen. So all these things are happening because you're doing it. So if you see Kapalbharati, when we do Kapalbharati, what is it? We are doing nothing. We are actually activating the diaphragm. You're pushing the diaphragm. And this also shows the rightful breathing when you're doing. So the lungs are going up and down like this, which is there. And when you do this particular exercise, the diaphragm increases the capacity of the thoracic pump, and it reduces the pressure on the heart as well as on the nervous system, and it reduces the blood pressure and all. So this is a very important aspect that we need to do and ensure that diaphragm is activated. Diaphragm is also called as a second heart. Reason why it is called second heart is primarily because this is the one which is activated to bring in flow of blood in the body. Apart from this, if you go along, there's something known as chemoreceptors. In the brain, at the behind, there's a chemoreceptor. This chemoreceptor is the one which balances the level of oxygen and carbon dioxide in your body. This chemoreceptor works on the rightful pattern of your breathing. If chemoreceptor finds that there's more carbon dioxide in your body, it will initiate faster breathing within you. You'll see that you become more breathless. More oxygen goes in because more carbon dioxide level is there. If there is less carbon dioxide in your body, it will bring your breath lower. So there is a chemoreceptor which is there. So when you do the rightful breathing, you're actually helping the chemoreceptor to function right and balance it. If it is not balanced, it will actually function malfunction. And in that case, what happens is most of the cases, when it malfunctions, there is less amount of carbon dioxide, but you're breathing very fast. This happens in the asthmatic patients. Asthmatic patient finds that they're breathing more. But in actuality, what is happening? The oxygen is going in and coming out because there is no carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is just about 4% in your body because the level for the critical ones is just about that. So you're breathing, but actually the breath is not happening. It's because the chemoreceptors are not working right. So this is another aspect which we got to realize. And as we do this breathing understand, the chemoreceptors understanding should be there. Now, if we analyze all this particular thing, and now analyze the way we breathe, you will find that all exercises which have been told to us in pranayama and other ways, things which are there, all have connotation to address all these touch points which are brought in. The right, left nostril, the balancing of that particular thing, humming, nitric oxide secretion which is there, right? When you draw in the level of oxygen and carbon dioxide level which comes in, that is what is the chemoreceptors which also get activated and all. The diaphragm, Kapalbhati, which actually is activated thing. So all these exercises are doing function to make your breath wholesome, to bring in complete inhalation which happens there. So try this exercise, do this Kapalbhati and do it for 10 times, and after that feel what is happening and let me know what is there. Let's start this exercise. Yeah, anyone? What is the feeling there? Anyone? Unmute yourself and
the breath gets more settled.
Yeah. Or was there any sensation down below at the diaphragm level?
Yes.
Yeah, that sensation, because your diaphragm has got activated, and when it gets activated, the muscles actually has flow of blood flow happens faster in that, and when the blood flow happens faster, you can feel that energy coming in there, and that is what is there. And when you say breath settle there, it's actually a rightful word, because breath settle there is primarily because the breath from where it is pushed up, because ultimately the breath comes down. The breath has also got lung has also got the top end and the lower end. So breath settles down. When it comes to low end, it initiates the parasympathetic nerves, and upper end initiates the sympathetic nerves. So when it comes down, it actually means settling down. When you say, it's the parasympathetic nerves getting activated. So when you do Kapalbhati, it's the parasympathetic nerves which get activated. So this is what effect it has when you go down there. Now let's come down from the physical body. Now, physical body, we have seen how it happens. Now, how does this get connected down to the pranas? Now, what is prana? You'll be surprised. The pranas which have been worked out, the breath is not just about inhaling or exhaling or coaxing the nervous system. Breath contains another invisible energy, and this invisible energy is nothing but pranas, the vital energy. Pranas have been actually accepted in all religion, all spheres of understanding, and all civilization. In India, we call as pranas. In China, we call as chi. In Japan, we call as ki. In Greek, we call as pneuma, Hebrew, ruha, and so various other things. So all religion across the world understand what prana is. But pranas were never scientifically tested. In 1970, this first test happened on what actually is the pranic understanding. And it happened on Swami Rama. He was actually quite a renowned and illumined soul. And so the test happened on him. He volunteered and he went there and the test happened on him. And a very beautiful evolution came out of that. And that is what I'll share to you. Let's understand this particular with the thing that all living organisms, if we take it, it's something like the leaves on the same tree. There's a particular tree, it has got leaves. So if we put on each leaf as different organisms, which are connected by a same source of energy, like for example, functions of animal, planet, and the special organ, they all manifest of the same matter. What implies is the energy which is being supplied, whether it is rock, leaf, plant, animals, everything has got a subtle end of energy within them. Now, to make it more elaborate, every individual, whether it's a rock or a humankind, is made out of molecules. And all molecules are at the base level of its making. And every molecule has got electron, protons, nuclei, neutrons, that all forms the basic source of energy which is there. So no matter what form it is there is certain amount of basic form of energy which lives there. What distinguishes an inanimate object like rock from bird, leaf, is the level of energy or excitability of electron within the atom, which makes up the molecule. Just to explain further, that every molecule is there, like rock is there. Now let's understand this. This is the molecule, and this is the nucleus in between, and this is the electrons where they're moving around, right? So the molecule of the rock will have this particular nuclei, and the electron will be very slowly moving. There'll be hardly any interchangeability of electrons happening. And this interchangeability of electron, that's the reason it is rock solid. It doesn't move. It doesn't have less of life. We come down to plants. In this case, the electron which is there moving faster and will have absorption and extraction a little faster. Come down to animals, a more faster. Come down to the man, it'll be very fast coming down. So what implies is that the life which is there is based on the electron excitability, how much electrons are absorbed and how much electrons are given away, which is there. So based on that, now this particular electron excitability is what life is all about. So oxygen is a strong electron acceptor. So when we take oxygen, what does this oxygen do? This oxygen goes inside, it goes to the cell and it merges with the cell. And when oxygen reaches to the cell, it increases the electron excitability and electrons move faster. And when electrons move faster, the cell functions fully well. Now, when electrons move faster, what really happens is the cells remain healthy and for a longer duration. And this excitability of electron is what is pranic energy. So if you see back into Vedic science, it has been written down that pranas are nothing but an electronic movement of electrons. So when in pranic energy, in the pranic healing, when they actually, do all those exercises. They're doing flow of electrons. The electrons are made to flow from one side to another. The cells are made to change electrons faster. The faster they change, the better they remain. So oxygen, which is taken from the nose, comes down to every cell. And every cell, what it does at the cell, it increases the capability of electron exchangeability. Electrons get exchanged. And when electrons exchange faster and better, the body remains healthy. When body remains healthy, this is what is the fully saturated body, what I started at the beginning. And when this is achieved, that is the time the electrons flow which happens also clears up all the chakras which are there. That is the one, chakras are the main source from where the electron flows are happening. So they also clear up the chakras. And when chakras are cleared, that is the time the energy which is stored at the base starts germinating. And when that starts germinating, that moves up to the head and comes here. And that is what we are looking to achieve with the supreme power which comes in. So that is what the pranic energy is there. Now, this is the point where breath comes in. It gets connected to the astral body. So if we see in the whole thing, I'll just go back the entire thing. The breath, what you've taken, started from the nose. The nose brought in the balancing of the breath, the temperature, pressure, cleaning up of thing. After having done, nitric oxide is produced, which balances the brain as well as increase the blood flow. It goes inside, goes into a thing. Depending on the carbon dioxide and the oxygen level, the blood is exchanged or the oxygen carbon dioxide is exchanged. This oxygen goes down to the cells. At each cell, this particular oxygen which goes to every cell, there the interchangeability of electrons happen. And electrons interchangeability happens, the flow of electrons happen. And that's the precise reason it is said that prana, as long as the pranas are moving, if there's no congestion in the pranas, the body runs. And if there's a congestion in the pranas, the body deteriorates. Like when if you take iron starts rusting. Why it starts rusting? It's because the excitability of the electrons reduces. When the excitability of electron reduces, it starts rusting. Similarly is the body. When your body, the cells stop taking oxygen and the excitability reduces, what happens is the cell starts malfunctioning. And when they malfunction, they outgrow differently. And when they outgrow differently, what happens? It also forms a body rust. We don't call it body rust, we call this as cancer. So cancer, that is the reason it is said that whenever the cancer cells, they grow where there is lack of oxygen, which is coming in. So if we see the entire thing, the science behind what is being told when we talk of Kapalbhati and other things, if we focus on a breathing pattern, we will realize that by just focusing on breathing pattern, you get your body alive. The very fact this complete pattern is done, mind also plays a big role in it. Because mind is the one which actually tells you how the breathing pattern will happen. How the mind tells, if I'm agitated, if I'm jealous of someone, my right nostril will grow faster. When my right nostril goes faster or breathes faster, the imbalance of carbon dioxide oxygen happens within me. When that imbalance happens, the oxygen which is going there fully doesn't translate to every cell. When it doesn't translate to every cell, the excitability of electrons get disturbed. When the excitability of electrons get disturbed, the cells start decaying. And when the cells start decaying, the problem starts happening. So everything starts from here. So if you get your breath right, the moment you get your breath right, the mechanics of breath, your mind gets calm. Your thoughts get right. Your thoughts get right, the entire system starts working right. When the entire system starts working right, the excitability of electrons remain. The flow of pranas happen right. When flow of pranas happen right, automatically the kundalini energy which is there starts germinating and then it grows. So that's the science which is behind the breath, which I thought I need to share with you all. And that is more or less from my side. And now I will give out 3 pattern of exercises to everyone who knows and been doing that, but 3 pattern of breathing exercises, which we will do. And after those exercises, please again take the oximeter as well as your pulse meter readings after that, right? So the 3 pattern of breathing, first I'll give you a little demonstration and then we'll start with the thing. First is normal Alom Vilom, which is there. So what we do is either way you can take both fingers there or you can do it like this, the way we are told that it breathes from the left and right. So whichever nostril you start, depending on which is more predominant in your case. So you can start from there. What we'll do is we're going to breathe 6 times inside, 6 seconds. And I'll count like this. We're breathing from the right nose right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close. So this is one cycle. So similarly, we'll do 6 cycles of this particular breathing. And the second set of breathing is the turtle breathing. The turtle breathing is nothing. All you have to do is that you breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And this has to be a little fast with little force. And when you're breathing in, take your head back. And when you're breathing out, bring your head front like this. Yeah. Correct. So when you're doing this, the second set of exercise, do this 14 times and second 14 times. So twice you do 14 times, 14 times. The third set of breathing is nothing but Kapalbhati. So all you do is that everyone knows. So do that particular breathing for 21 times and 21 times. So do these particular exercises, and after that, take your pulse reading and the oximeter reading and record it down. We can start now. Uh, if you have done the exercise and if you have recorded your meter reading, uh, anyone can share the meter reading, what it was earlier and what it is now.
Hello, sir. Aditi.
Yeah, please, if you can pin her.
Yeah, earlier it was 94 and now it is 99, sir.
Just imagine what a jump it has taken place.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And what's your pulse reading, what was earlier?
Pulse reading 79 earlier, now 84, sir.
84, yeah, because you have been breathing harder, which is there. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else?
For me, it was 96 oxygen level, and now it was 99.
Yeah. And your pulse?
But the pulse, it was 88, and now it is 86.
86. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Kundraji, for me, the oxygen saturation was 98 and 98. It remained 98.
Okay. Yours, I can understand.
the pulse was 64 in the beginning, and now it is 60.
Yeah.
Pulse rate has come down.
Yeah. So, if you analyze this particular thing, why I brought this, because there should be an immediate test of things. Now, this is proving one thing, that this exercise increases the oxygen level. And this oxygen level, which is increased by, is also doing physical activity along with it. So it is also increasing the carbon dioxide level. So when the carbon dioxide level is increasing, the oxygenation, that means the oxygen is going in the blood, has increased. So when this meter is reading, it is reading the oxygen which is there in your blood. So which implies that the rightful absorption of oxygen happened right till the blood which is there. So these exercises have a profound influence on the body. That's number one, which gets proven. Second thing is about the pulse. The pulse has increased in case of Dr. Aditi. But in actuality, the pulse must also go down. Now, pulse increasing, the very fact, doctor, what was your pulse in normal pulse at the beginning?
It was 79, sir.
79. Anything 70 and above is high, though doctors even say 72 is fine. No, it's not so. For us, we are here, never take 72 as a high. To my understanding, 72 is a high. Never take that particular thing. You should only be satisfied when your pulse comes down to 60, 61, right? Because the level where you are, we can bring it down to 60, 61. And people who are beyond, their pulse will go further down. Because lesser the pulse is exactly what we talked of slow breathing. Now, slow breathing is what is happening. The nervous system, the brain, the blood pressure, all are synchronized and balanced. When all they're synchronized and balanced, what is happening? The shant dimag, thoughts nahi aate hain. You are calm, composed. That's exactly what you're looking at, right? So the breathing pattern, if we do it right, by doing meditation, by doing this exercise, yoga, what you're doing, you're actually getting your breath right. And when you get your breath right, you get your mind right. You get your mind right, your body is all right. And thereafter, automatically your pranic energy will start bringing the kundalini up. And kundalini up is what is an evolution of you, which happens. So this was my little contribution, which I thought that I must bring to your knowledge, the understanding of science. Because when I read through, when I did this research of mine, and that's the time I got profoundly, because, when I told my children just wouldn't accept it, when I would talk to them. And when I went and spoke and gave them this, they were totally absorbed into it. And I saw them, start practicing the next year onward. They were all practicing around. And not only practicing, they were talking to other people and saying, oh, do this. This is great. This gets your body right. So please make sure that understand this science and tell your children, tell the younger generation that they must get in there. And today's younger generation is far more prepared than what you and we were there at their age, which were in those times. And this is actually there as per Vedic understanding also. If you read the book written by Swami Yukteswar Giriji, The Holy Science, in that he brings out about yugas, He talks of the yugas. And he says that right now we have moved from Kali Yuga towards Dwapar Yuga. And the transition has happened, and we already come into that. And it says that when you're in Kali Yuga, your understanding is only limited to your five senses. And these five senses what tell you this world what it is. That's all you understand, nothing beyond it. But as you get into Dwapar Yuga of mankind, the understanding will grow. And that understanding will grow into understanding the molecular science behind the physical body. And the molecular science which is there, when I did my research, because he says, okay, in Dwapar Yuga, and we have already come around 300, 400 days into Dwapar Yuga, we're already there. So then I said, okay, if all scientific things which have happened, we all know. So when I did this research, and I found then in past 400 to 500 years only, all research on molecular science has happened only in past 400 to 500 years. Prior to that, there was no knowledge of things. Your gravity, your telescopes, your steam engines, you name anything, everything has come about in past 400 to 500 years only. And it also says that when you get into Treta Yuga, the next Yuga, which comes after around 2,300 years after that Dwapar Yuga, that is the time you'll understand the electronic energy of it. And electronic energy is understanding the pranic energy. What I just told you, the excitability of electrons. We just barely know a little. Right now, we have reached up to the electrons. Science has also gone further that there are certain smaller particles in the atom, which are quarks and other. I'm putting you one more name, quark, and one is there, that there are more particles than it. So we have to go beyond it. But understanding this thing, because right now, if you read that phenomenal book by Tavariaji, which is there, which I happen to read courtesy Gorsar, in that he brings out that the 7 levels of pranas, 7, 2, 3, from 1 to 7. The first level of prana is the one which actually encompasses this Mahakala, the complete structure what has been created around us. And between those levels, and every level, which type of prana is there. So to understand all those pranas, their functioning, how it works, that actually every person will be able to understand it well in Treta Yuga. And that's the reason when I say the younger generation is far more prepared to understand this, because every generation ahead will be profoundly more inclined and more understandable than what you and me were there. Our parents only told us out of what they understood out of the 5 senses. We also understood everything out of 5 senses. We are into the transitive phase of now moving into the second part of it. And that's the reason probably that we have better understanding. It's only the people who were evolved, who have reached up to a point they could understand in Kali Yuga. So this is my little guzarish, I would say, is that do not leave this knowledge down up to this point and say, okay, over. But please take it down and pass it down to young, because this is our job, your and my job, to ensure that we pass it down to every generation or the younger generation to understand. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Kundraji, if you don't mind, will you be able to give us a small, note containing the 3 details of the 3 exercises that?
I'll definitely do that. Yeah. One thing before I missed out, the 3 exercises, what I've told you, these 3 exercises, if you see, are the ones which are activating all those points which I have mentioned from starting to end. The first exercise balances your right and left nostril, right? This right and left nostril balances your both hemisphere. As these both hemispheres get balanced, your chemoreceptors get right. So the right balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide happens within you. When you do this turtle breathing actually brings in the molecular energy which is there, the one which is going in, the absorbability of oxygen into cells. So every cell gets activated and the cells actually absorb more oxygen. And when they absorb more oxygen, what happens? The excitability of electron takes place. So the cells become more live. The third actually exercise which has done is to activate your diaphragm. When your diaphragm is activated, your breathing pattern becomes nice. It becomes slow, rhythmic, and it balances your nervous system, brain, and heart, which is there. So please do practice these. These are profoundly taught when you do the pranic course, in that these 3 exercises are taught, but no one tells there why these exercises should be done, what is the reason behind, and all those things. And this, when I went to them, I said, okay, tell us. No one could, frankly, not that, sorry, being little sounding pompous, but no one could mention that. So that is what actually prompted me that I must find out why is this happening, what is there. And this is what my little research has shown, that this is the reason behind of what has been told. Because Master Chow Kok Sui, who's there, he was a valiant and a very informative man. He was an educated guy. I think he was a chemical engineer, and he's the one. So he's done it very scientifically. If he has made something, it's very scientific. Now, that scientific understanding, unfortunately, which I find in the teachings, no one is catching on. It just says, okay, pranas hilao, aise haath karoge, prana chalega, karoge, chalega. It doesn't really happen. And the pranic energy will only function provided that you have evolved yourself to a level where your energies are so strong. When your energies are strong, then only can you actually move the energies of other person. Otherwise, you cannot move the energies. You know, it might just give you a little bit of a hearsay, but you really can't make a difference. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anybody wants to ask any question or share something? Please unmute yourself.
Shall I ask something?
Please go ahead, Vinayji.
General Kundra, you have said that in the first exercise, you are taking, suppose my left nostril is open, I start with the left nostril, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 goes up, and then you close it, and then it comes out from the right. Again, the cycle goes from left to right. Will it also go back?
No. Only the start is from the nostril, which is predominant. Suppose your left is predominant, you start from here, you go 6 up, 3 stop, 6 down, thereafter 6 up, 3 stop, 6 down.
So in the reverse way.
Yeah, it is this pattern. It's only the start. And when I say 6 doesn't mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 6 means 6 seconds. Because remember, I told you the science has also proven that 5.5 seconds is the length of the breath should be there. So for that duration should be breathing. So your counting should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's actually 6 seconds. So when you're counting, count in that manner and not that fast manner. Because, you know, the rhythm will not happen. It has been proven. Like Tavaji is always brought out that the rhythmic, 3-step rhythmic breathing in which he brings it out, that is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 2. Now, there's also a reason behind it. This is also something which is Bill and I forgot to mention this about, is why he is given 3 in and 2 out. It is primarily to balance the carbon dioxide level which is there. If you breathe, like in the case when we're breathing 6 up, 6 down, it's primarily to balance the thing. But normal breathing should be 3 up and 2 out, implying that the carbon dioxide should be coming out, which is only essential. You know, too much of carbon dioxide drawn out from the body. What happens is when you're actually doing exercise, when you're over breathing and your metabolism system is not adequately right, and metabolism system is less and you're breathing more, what happens? It causes blackout and person falls. Why does blackout happen? It happens because the carbon dioxide is less. The oxygen going is more. And because of that carbon dioxide less, the brain, you get the blackout system and your head starts paining and all. So similarly, the 3-step rhythmic breathing is a beautiful way to balance the right oxygen carbon dioxide level in your thing. So if you're breathing 3-step rhythmic breathing constantly, imagine your chemoreceptors are working right, your heart is working right, your nervous system is perfect, your circulation is perfect. There is no reason for you to think wrong. Everything will happen right because right hormones are secreted in your mind. When right hormones are secreted, there's no question of you having hate, jealousy for others. You'll always be full of gratitude and thankfulness, which is there. And this is exactly what spirituality is all about.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Maitiji, you want to speak?
Not really.
So you are unmuting yourself. Shashi, you want to say something?
Yeah, sir, my daughter want to ask something.
Just a minute. Spotlight.
Namaskar, sir. So it was like a delight to hear you. It was the first time I just came down to my mama's place and I heard you. So I just wanted to know if at all we wish to hear more of you, or can we find you on some YouTube videos or some books, or what would you suggest further? Because we wanted to know, I wanted to read further and know further.
Firstly, thank you very much for your kind words. And As far as the official channels are concerned, no, I'm not on any official channel. This is my official channel as with Corsa. But yes, I do conduct classes and for the corporate world as well as for universities and all, I'm conducting lectures on management, and management theory is based on behavioral science based on Vedas. And all this is, I'm gradually making part of my teaching in colleges. Like I told you, my little aim, what I've taken across now that I've reached a particular age, I think now it's time to give back. And my give back is give to the younger generation to make them understand the nuances, the truth behind the nuances of this, and the truth to be understood is if it is brought scientifically. So I do conduct classes for management students, which I'm doing it. We have already tied up with the 11 odd universities. We are growing. I'm also trying to have a tie-up with foreign universities. Like this time I'd had a word with Cornell University, New York, as well as NYUC. And let's see how it goes. But I do it for corporate world also, for the middle and senior level leadership, and conduct courses for them.
Actually, I was wanting to know more about it because I'm heading a school as a principal. It's a K-12 CBSE school since the last 2 decades. And I felt that, although today I was literally pulled into it through my mother, but I think now my students also should know about it. As you just mentioned, you must tell the next generation. So
wonderful. I'm so glad. And anytime for me, this is a seva, and I would love to be there. No money, nothing. But yes, if I can be of any help, anytime, anywhere, it'll be my pleasure. And just to bring it down, I was invited by my school where I studied, grew up, and so they got in touch and they invited me. I'm going on 6th from here, Agra, and I'm attending a session. They've called me as a chief guest of a particular session, and I'll be sharing certain thoughts with the children on this account and on the spiritual side of it. And so anytime, anywhere, what I can do, it's just an honor and pleasure. So just feel free, get in touch, and we'll work it out.
So get your phone number through.
Yes.
That is available on the group, and I will put, Kundraji will put it in the chat box also. So you can take it down from there.
Thank you. You are doing such a lovely work. I must really thank you for this. This is a lot of things.
Thank the man here. He's the man who's got us all together.
Like literally.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, he's got us all together. And I always say this to him in times, I think at Nausea, I've been telling him that people here are not just about thing. Look, the very fact you coming at a point, you coming to listen to, you getting a thing is not simple. It just happened. They have a reason behind, right? So we all are here with certain reasons, and we're working, and the leader amongst us is Corsa, who is taking us all together, and he's a phenomenal man, and we are so glad that he's leading us.
It just happened. So actually, it is like this, that it's a soul family. So yes, we are all here for a purpose, as General Kundra said, and we must live up to that purpose. And the purpose is to be able to serve. Whatever we have received, it's time to give it back to people.
Yes.
So that's it. Otherwise, what will happen? Anything that we create in this life, nothing is going to go with us.
Yes.
So only those things will go, whatever we have learned. Any skills that we have learned, any other teachings we have learned, any teachings we have lived through life, our experiences, those will go. But it is better to die empty. So whatever one has received, it's time to pass it on.
Yeah.
So when the time to go comes, it's an easy passage. You can just go out as if you are going out shopping, because you have not held back anything. You are free. So that's the simplest thing. General Kundra spoke about Tawariya ji. I was very fortunate to have been in his company for some time. And somebody had asked him a question and he was answering, and it was about death. And Tawariya ji just thought about it. He was a person in the cosmic state. He would know everything. But it is said that normally you don't tell anybody their time of death. So he just thought about it, and this person wanted to know how long am I going to live. So he just smiled and he said, there is a Chinese saying that an outgoing breath does not guarantee an incoming breath. So each time you breathe out, be ready to go. So how can a person be ready to go? Only when he has served his life purpose. So it's better to do it here, finish it off, and then go.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you so much. What is your name?
I'm Dr. Shruti Gupta.
Shruti. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice to-
My karma bhumi is Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh.
Okay, so maybe you can, if you are on Telegram or if you are not on Telegram,
Yeah.
you download Telegram and you join our group. We are a group on Telegram. We meet every Tuesday afternoon.
Sure.
And even if you cannot attend any sessions, those sessions are available on YouTube. Even this session which you heard today.
Oh, I can hear.
Within a few hours, it will be put on YouTube. So that it is available. The channel is in my name, Brahma Prakash Gaur. We had not thought of any particular thing as we started. We just started just like that. So it has continued in my name. That's it.
Going to be precious.
So whatever. And General Kundra's earlier talks are also there. If you go through the channel, then you will find that the talks are there.
I'll visit it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No one? So it is 6:05.
Yes, it's long.
No,
I said it's long time now.
It's long? Okay. So shall we call it? Umaji, you want to say something?
I will be working on this for at least 8 days, and then I'm going to get back to
Wonderful.
Kundra.
Oh, that is the way of that.
Because
Okay.
I did have a little difficulty in doing, the turtle breath.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I saw you were having a little problem.
Yeah.
But don't force yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do conveniently, that would be a rightful thing.
Yeah.
And but in whatever sense you do, I can assure you they will have effect. आपको तो पता ही है, आपको तो बताने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, आपसे तो हम सीख रहे हैं काफी कुछ. So you will enjoy it, I'm sure.
Sir, will you please repeat the number of breath, like 14 times turtle breathing?
Okay.
Just
What you do is the first, which is there, that's Alom Vilom, which is there. You do 6 cycles, right? Do 6 cycles.
okay.
6 cycles. How many times?
6 cycles. That is, you go up, come
Okay.
down, go up, come down is one cycle.
It has to be done only one 6 cycle.
6 cycles, sir. Like going up, coming down, going up, coming down is one
One
cycle.
set of 6 cycles. Only
Yes.
one set of 6 cycles.
One set of 6 cycles, yes. One set of 6 cycles. And do the turtle breathing 14 times, 2 cycles. In case if you can do do it, you can do more, good. But if you can't, 2 sets definitely 14. And same Kapalbharati, 21 times, 2 sets of it. If you can do more, very good. If you can't do it, don't worry. Do it twice and leave it there.
Okay. So, shall we call it a day now? General Sahib, you want to do a little prayer, end with a little prayer, or you want me to do it?
आप करिए सर थोड़ा.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will, after such a wonderful session, it's good to send out healing blessings to the universe. So we'll do a Shanti part. Om Sarvesham स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनो सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चिद् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति